Hey everyone, Dave here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make a sourdough pizza. Now I like to make my pizza thin crust, but I'll tell you how you can make the dough go thick, medium, or thin crust with one simple trick. Stay tuned to find out. Let's bake. Alright, first let's gather the ingredients. Measure them and get them mixed into a dough mass similar to the sourdough loaves from my other videos. Let's start by mixing all the dry ingredients together. For pizza, if you can find 00 flour at the store, get some. It's a very fine ground flour and works best for pizza dough. I use Caputo flour, which you can easily find online. However, if all you can get is regular AP flour, that's okay too. Measure 300 grams of flour and add it to the bowl. And if you want, add another 30 grams of whole wheat or some other flour to add a little additional flavor. Next, add 6 grams of salt and 6 grams of sugar if you're using sugar. Give all the dry ingredients a good mix and make sure everything is distributed as evenly as you can get it. If you're using honey instead of sugar, just add it when mixing the starter and water. Alright, now grab your mixing bowl and measure out 45 grams of starter, followed by 210 grams of water. Give them a good mix so the water becomes cloudy and the starter is distributed throughout the water. If you're using honey, go ahead and add 6 grams of honey to the watery mixture now. Alright, once that is done, add in the dry mixed ingredients to the wet ingredients and get everything mixed together into a dough blob like such. Alright, once it's shaped like that, just cover the bowl with either a lid or plastic wrap or a wet towel in order to prevent the dough from drying out. We're going to let it rest for about 30 minutes. Okay, the dough's been resting for about 30 minutes and now we will start doing our stretch and folds, just like we do when we bake a sourdough loaf of bread. First, grab a corner of the dough, pull it up, and fold it over the dough like you see me doing here. Then grab the next corner and do the same, and the next until you've worked your way around the dough. If the dough starts to tear or gets really tough to work with, just stop stretching it for this round. The dough is at its limit and needs some rest. When done, just cover the bowl and let the dough rest for 30 minutes and repeat the stretching and folding a second time. Repeat the 30 minutes rest and stretch and fold sessions 2 more times for a total of 4 stretch and fold sessions, or 2 hours. After the 4th stretch and fold session, cover and let the dough rest for about an hour to bulk ferment. Okay, the bulk ferment is done. The dough is holding its shape pretty well and it's ready to be shaped into dough balls. However, before we do that, grab a couple of containers and line them with a little bit of olive oil. Once that is done, take the dough out of the mixing bowl and put it on the work surface. Split the dough in half and make each half into a dough ball like I'm doing here. When the dough is in a ball shape with a smooth top and doesn't have any seams on the bottom, put it in the container and repeat with the second half. Dab a couple of drops of olive oil on the surface of each dough ball inside the containers and cover the containers. This will help keep the dough from drying out if you do a long refrigerator proof like we're going to do in this video. Once that is done, put the dough in the fridge. Of course, if you want to bake them the same day, you can, but leave the dough out on the counter for a few hours to finish proofing. Now let's talk about proofing times. I prefer to proof the dough in the refrigerator for a few days before making pizza with it. However, as I said, you could bake the same day if you want to, but the flavor of the dough won't have as much time to develop like it does with a longer proof. Now I like to leave the dough proofing in the fridge for about 3 to 4 days on average. However, it's ready to go in as little as 18 hours, and some pizza bakers will leave it in their fridge for 24 to 48 hours on average. Some even leave it up in their fridge for a week. However, I found that 3 to 4 days gives me a good all-around flavor and proofing period. Plus, I like to plan my pizza baking days pretty far in advance, and with sourdough pizza dough, you do need a bit more time to prep the dough for a bake than you would if you're using a Polish or an instant yeast kind of pizza dough. But we'll get around to those methods in future videos. Alright, next up, baking the pizza. Okay, the dough has been proofing in the fridge for 4 days and it's time to make our pizza. First thing we need to do is take the dough out of the fridge and let it warm up and proof on the counter. And I like to let it warm up for an hour and then let it proof for another 3 hours before making my pizza. However, proofing times may vary for you and will vary based on a lot of different variables, such as heat or humidity, where you live, other environmental factors, and also the following. Proofing times can make a big difference in the dough's stretchability. If you want a thicker pizza dough, just shorten the proofing time by an hour, and the dough will act more like a rubber band and won't stretch as far. This will make a smaller size pie as well, but a thicker one that still rises really well. A longer proof could make the dough completely flatten and go more like a cracker with little to no rise at all, so be careful unless that's what you want. Play around with the proofing times until you find your sweet spot. I thought I overproofed my dough one time, and it turned out to be a happy accident, giving me a dough elasticity that worked pretty well for me. Okay, enough about that. Go ahead and preheat your oven. I like to preheat mine to 450 degrees, and I bake it at 400 to 425 in a household oven when I'm using a household oven. If you have a pizza stone or a pizza steel, make sure it's preheating in the oven for at least 30 minutes before using it. If all you have is a baking pan, about 20 minutes should do it. I'll be using my electric pizza oven today, but it's located in a spot that's off camera and it's too hard for me to shoot. I really need to get one of those outdoor pizza ovens that I can shoot much easier and looks cooler. Alright, I'm going to make a simple cheese pizza for this video, but put whatever you want on yours. I have some leftover Rao's marinara sauce for this one because I forgot to make my own sauce today. And for the cheese, I did a 50-50 blend of part skim and whole milk mozzarella. Before we see the results, please do me a favor. Like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Better yet, hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos and leave a comment down below. Alright, here's how we did. Now my oven has the heating coils really close to the pizza, and I also use a really high heat to cook it fast. It's something that happens when I do that is I get an interesting fatty oily look on top of the cheese as it melts, which is a common sight with thin crust pizzas. At least back east where I'm from. But the pizza looks great and I'm ready to eat it. That's it for this time. Check back next week for my next video that will show you how to make a country sourdough loaf with just the stuff you have lying around the house. That's it for this time. Take care.